Welcome back. We are having our second conversation for the morning. And really, Paul, we are celebrating Social Work Day. And that's because today is Social Work Day. And we have here with us two representatives to talk about the theme and some of the activities that you can expect today. Here with us is Kendra Hyde, and she is the Women Development Officer with the Women's Department. And also with her is Ganesha Smith, and she is the Human Development Coordinator with the Ministry of Human Development. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us.
Morning.
And
Thanks for
welcome.
having us. Morning.
So happy Social Work Day. I guess that's the appropriate way to open up and welcome.
Yes.
Welcome you ladies. How are we feeling?
Great. Good.
Good?
Good.
Yeah.
What's the theme for this year's Social Work Day celebration?
You want to go? Okay. It's Buen Vivir. It is shared future for transformative change.
What's buen vivir?
Yeah, I was thinking the same
Good
thing.
life.
Good
life.
life.
I was thinking good living.
Yeah.
Good living. Good
Yeah.
life. Can be both.
Shared future for transformative change. What does that mean to you ladies?
It's looking at social work from a different perspective, more of a community-led perspective rather than just giving persons options or areas to make whatever change it is.
And that's interesting.
So it's having them lead more than being told what to do.
That's interesting because the second part of your statement is what I would think social work to be, individual to individual versus community leading.
Mm-hmm.
Is that an intentional shift that we are seeing in social work?
Yes, I think so. It's easier when you have a community participate because they are part of a holistic approach as opposed to working with one individual to identify, to address, to empower, to develop. But if you have it from a community perspective, you have buy-in. Mm-hmm. And so persons want to become involved and participate and offer whatever type of help, assistance they can to make change. So it's not new, mm-hmm. but it is definitely something being focused on a lot more.
Mm-hmm. What's the core duties, responsibilities, or functions of a social worker? I think people take for granted the fact that this is not well known. Yes, you may have a family member who's a social worker, a friend who's a social worker, but when you ask me, and I'm a bit embarrassed to say, when you ask me, what does a social worker do? I perhaps know to an extent, a small extent, that they go out into marginalized communities and assist people with what, how, in what ways. Does their job entail more than just going out into these communities? These are questions that I genuinely have, and
I'm sure
I believe
our viewers too.
I believe you can answer.
Yeah, there is much that we do. There's a lot, exactly, and like what you said, mm-hmm. people don't know. And mm-hmm. this is the reason why we do a lot of advocacy, so that persons know what we do. So there has been a lot of fears going on. Mm-hmm. As you know, today is Social Worker Day, but this month is also Women's Month.
Right.
Yes.
And so there was a lot of activity that is still going on countrywide. I'm not sure if you guys have a screen of it, but we can definitely mm-hmm. share it with you with all the different activities. As a social worker, I won't say it's easy, because I don't want person to feel like, oh, I want to join. They have an easy job. It's a dedicated job. We can't say we work from 8 to 5 because it all depends on the needs of the person. So if we're called early in the morning, late in the night, we have to respond. And there are so many things that we deal with as a social worker. We're under the Human Development Ministry, and you must know there are 3 different ministries within, which is Human Service, the CRD, and Women's Department. And so the 3 different units is divided to deal with different situations. But within our scope, there are times when we do have to deal with some of the same things.
Where it overlaps, yeah.
And also to collaborate, to assist. As you guys know, when there are flooding, we respond. Mm-hmm. When there's fire, we respond. When there's medical needs for a person, we respond. Burial assistance, we assist with those as well. Wow. We also assist, school is almost finished, so we ensure that, children are ready to go back into school. there's a lot that we do, and it's a lot of case management.
Right.
Case management means that we just don't, it's not like a one-time thing that we will help you, but we have to ensure that we're developing that family.
Right.
So the best interest of us is to make sure that when we meet you and we leave you, that you're able to stand on your own as a family.
That's
So-
an
And
excellent way to
not
put
as
it.
an individual.
So to distinguish roles with an example like flooding, if it floods, there's a need to rescue a family. Now, clearly, social workers won't go and jump in a boat maybe and rescue. The Coast Guard will do that.
We
If
partner
there's-
with them.
You partner with them.
Yes.
If there's need for some sort of medical or aid assistance, Red Cross might come in, or somebody like that might come in. What role do you guys play in the event of a flooding? Do you go in after the flood has receded and this family needs some sort of support?
Yes, so we will go in after the flood. Most of the time it's still high.
Yeah, okay.
And so we still have to get in those boats, in our boots, raincoat. So we step out all the time. But our job is to ensure that the family has somewhere safe and that they're able to have something to eat.
Wow.
And to just get them back on their feet. Because you know, sometimes with flood as well, just like fire, things get destroyed. And so we try to bring them back to that normalcy.
So there's a well-rounded looking
Yes.
after caring for their overall well-being.
Yes.
Okay.
So we serve.
yeah.
We serve
Yeah.
in every single way that you would think persons who are marginalized or vulnerable, what they would need, we would try to meet them at that need as best as possible. So when she's talking about flood, the overhead name is what we call it's relief and supplies management. And so we would meet them where they are, whether it is physically, some might be financially to some extent, depending on their loss. We would meet them at that point as well.
I think what a lot of people assume the primary role of social workers to be are the individuals that work with displaced children. Could you describe some of that responsibility that social workers also bear?
So that is one component, and that comes under the Department of Human Services, Child Protection Services, or Child Placement and Specialized Services. Because, you know, for example, initially a case might come in of a report, an allegation of an abuse. It's investigated. A decision will be made whether the child remain at home or needs to be removed. And that is when they become displaced, because you then need to identify foster families or relatives that will be able to have them temporarily or long-term, depending on the situation. So that is what we do, but I don't want that to be our takeaway.
Yes.
Because it is
most
out there
prominent.
that people, and if I could say it in a Creole, I'll do the tech where people pick me.
Yeah.
That's not what we do.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important for us to identify what the viewers or what the general population believe the roles of social workers are, identify if there are any misconceptions, and answer those questions. What
Right.
are the general roles? It's more than just taking away people picnic.
That's right.
And it's necessarily not even that.
No.
You're trying to find help for these kids that would generally need it. So we've identified the different roles of social workers here in Belize. I want to get a little bit more personal though, ladies. I want to ask you guys, why did you want to be a social worker? Or did you want to be a social worker?
For me, I come from a family of women who just generally love to serve.
Yes.
And I think that is where I started, wanting to be able to help or make a difference in other people's lives. And when I started social work, I actually started as a truancy officer. And I thought, well, that wasn't much. I didn't have much teeth doing more for persons. And so I got into social work, working with the Ministry of Human Development. But it's just helping persons to help themselves. And it's not telling them what to do, but it's more just guiding them and helping them to navigate in order for them to make right decisions. And at the end of the day, you want them to be self-sustainable rather than dependent. And so I think that's my really goal,
Right.
just to help people.
And you, Miss Hyde?
For me, it all started from primary school. I think it's, and I said this over and over, that when you think about becoming a social worker, people always look at finance and all that have you. Being a social worker, it has to come from within. So it's something that you generally want to do. All my life, knowing myself, I always like to help. And this is the reason why we go on and beyond for our clients, because it's something that we like to do. It's just something natural for me, always helping people, within the scope or not.
So
Sorry, Sabrina. I just wanted to add, because just from the brief conversation that we've had, my perspective on social work has drastically shifted, and I use the word drastically intentionally, because I'm now seeing the profession as like social guardians, social protectors, caring for one's well-being, so social welfare as well. These are the terms and phrases that comes to mind, and I would imagine that if you're looking after somebody, for example, that is in dire need after a flood or after a fire, then you have to care about that individual's well-being. You have to have a true sense of care for that individual's future, and it won't happen with an attitude of, well, whatever happened, or we just come because this is our job, and when we done fire, we are left, and then you can figure it out after that. You really have to invest yourself and time in the lives of these individuals, to the point where, and this is what I'm getting, to the point where they trust you, and they feel as if they could call on you. You know, I won't go to the minister first, or I perhaps even won't go to the pastor first. I'll go and I'll call Miss Kendra, because guess what? Miss Kendra truly cares for me. So what are the qualities that a social worker must have in order to be effective at their jobs? What are some of the important qualities?
Commitment has to come. That's one of the first ones. You have to want to do this, because you will see and hear things that might become a little bit uncomfortable, but you have to show your commitment. You have to show empathy to some extent, understanding where that person is and the fact that that person wants to move from that point in their life. Another big one is confidentiality.
Yes, I was just about to say that.
Okay.
You want to talk about
Definitely.
it? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Definitely confidentiality, and that is where it all stands in terms of somebody trusting you and relying on you and want to come back to see you. I know that confidentiality is a big thing everywhere. We cannot control it. We all sign confidentiality, but I must say that within our department, within our ministry, we ensure that confidentiality is kept. I would like to talk about a little bit of what I do at Women's Department. I work under the gender unit. And so we assist person in domestic situation.
Wow.
And so confidentiality is very, very important. And you talk about, person calling me or wanting to come back to me. It is very important that, because they say the first entrance is either you make or you break. So it is very important to ensure that you give your all when it comes to your client. And like I mentioned before, we don't have an 8 to 5 that we can say every day we'll go home 8 to 5. We can be called early in the morning, we can be called late in the night. So it's something that you have to dedicate yourself to serve the people.
Let's talk about the overall celebration then of the work that you ladies so eloquently identified as the role and responsibilities of social workers. Let's talk about how we're celebrating them.
It's hard to celebrate when you're a social worker. The work never stops. But
that's what we definitely gather.
In each individual own way, we do a lot of self-care. One of our initiative this year is to giving officers a day off, just to unwind, recuperate, and just enjoy what you have done and go through that day. Like I said, it's very hard, but it's a day I think we celebrate ongoing. In the midst of everything that is happening, there is some light, and that comes from gratification when you see clients moving, when you see things happening for clients. So it's a constant, for me, it's a constant celebration when you see a client made one more step, made two more steps, or achieved a particular goal. That is the big celebration. But in terms of our department, our ministry, we're just appreciating. So we're giving out appreciation tokens to staff. And there's just a lot of checking in with staff to see where they are.
You mentioned something really critical, and I think it's important for us to touch on that. And it's the aspect of self-care. As social workers, you would be witness to a lot of things that would be otherwise considered traumatic.
Right.
How important is it that you ensure, or that the ministry ensures, that social workers are also okay?
We do have a unit within our ministry that looks at self-care. And so it's a lot of checking in. We have counselors available for officers who are at a breaking point or have experienced a particular trauma working a case. We do have that readily available for officers. And we do have where it's mandatory that they take their vacation. It's important that you take your vacation timely, just because of the amount of work and the circumstances that you would encounter. So it's general, a holistic approach. A lot of it, again, looking at counseling, focusing on counseling for officers because of what they would see or what we will see when we're out there in the fields working.
Are you ladies aware of how many social workers we have employed with the government at this point?
We have just about 100, a little bit over 100, and that is countrywide.
Is there a need for more?
Definitely.
Oh, yes.
They laugh.
Definitely. What we have been seeing is that the number of cases are becoming more complex, more compound. So one might come into Miss Kendra for domestic violence, and then we might see a young person within that family who have behavioral issues. We might see some child protection issues, and so it becomes very much compounded in one spin.
And you need more than one
officer to work
there
with that family, depending on the exact need of each person within that family.
Is there a and don't take me wrong with this question, but is there a space for men in social work?
Definitely.
Do you? Is the majority is women, though, I would imagine.
Yes.
Yeah, but there's a space for men.
There's always space for men. It's who apply.
It's who apply.
Yes.
Why is it, do you think, that less men gravitate towards this field of work?
I think people believe it's more of a nurturing job that comes from a female. But we do welcome men. We do have some excellent male social workers working with us.
Yes.
And we can see, I cannot speak from a male perspective, but my observation in certain cases, juvenile displaying uncontrollable behavior might gravitate more to a male working with them as opposed to a woman. And it varies because of several reasons, but we do have space for male. We would welcome more male applications coming in, definitely.
Yeah, that's so interesting, though. I really thought that there were more social workers
Than 100?
Yeah, than
Than
100.
about 100, yeah.
Unfortunately.
Wow.
No. We
Well,
do have a lot of support staff,
yes.
though,
Okay.
that supports us.
Well, I think just having this conversation, it's a good idea for individuals that are interested in this profession to learn a bit more about what they can expect should they take on this role. I'm hoping to see that number increase, but until then, we will celebrate the work that you ladies are doing, of course, and your colleagues. It is such a selfless job, I believe, to be a social worker. And as you ladies mentioned, you're not confined to an hourly role. You're working outside of that 9 to 5, and it really speaks to the essence of public service and service to people. So I have to tip my hat off to you ladies and to all of your co-workers that are actively involved in the work of serving the people of Belize.
Yeah, I want to give you both an opportunity to give your final thoughts big up your social worker colleagues out there as well, you know. Yeah, go ahead. You can start, Kendra.
Okay. My final thoughts will be, and like what you said, just wrapping up what you said, for anybody who is out there who would want to be a part of the social work team, please note that it's also fun. Yes, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But it's also fun. And like I said before, it has to be something that you want to do, something that you like to do. You don't want to sign up for the job and then getting up in the morning to say, oh, this is not for me. Right? So you heard a little bit about what we do. You can always visit any of our offices within the districts and find more information, get more information as to what is it. Because you don't want to start school, start your bachelor's or master's, and then this is not what you want to do.
Right.
To all my social worker colleagues, happy Social Work Day to you guys. We have all been working so hard, tirelessly, and it's just part of what we do. So
I actually have one final question before we get to you, Ms. Smith, but you ladies mentioned that sometimes it's a compounded case. So how many cases do you find at times social workers taking on?
I think on an average, maybe 50 to 75 would be a caseload we're looking at right now per social worker.
Wow. And that's obviously not something that you want to see.
No,
It's not
definitely,
ideal.
because we want more quality, and the less case management you have, the more you can put in or invest into that family or child or whoever we're working with.
yeah.
Yeah.
50 to
There
60.
isn't even 50 to 70 hours in a day, 50 to 70 days in a month, you know.
Exactly. If you do
Yeah.
the maths, you
Yeah,
can
we
tell.
do the maths.
And it goes back to what Kendra said in terms of we don't work 8 to 5. It's impossible to meet our clients' needs just working 8 to 5. We
Yeah.
definitely have to do beyond that.
Definitely.
All right. Well, any final words that you'd like to share?
I just want to leave with the community at large knowing that we are here to serve. We're not here to disrupt. We are not here to break families, but we are here to serve. And our ministry is one with that mandate for family preservation. Despite the differences or instances we might need to make harsh decisions, we are here to keep families together. So having said that, I want to say happy Social Work Day to all our social workers across country. You guys are doing an awesome job. Please keep it up and have a great and fantastic day.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Thank you, ladies, so much for stopping by.
Thanks for having
Thanks for
us.
having us.
We celebrate with you all the best, and we hope that we're able to see those numbers increase with social workers in Belize.
Yes,
Definitely.
thank you.
Alrighty, we're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, it's all about job opportunities with BCCI. Stay with us. We'll be right back.